the space of selling, first of all, what is more important than talking is listening, right? Every customer needs something customized, and
Right, true.
every idea needs to be different from the other. So it is very important to understand the context, first of all, and then go ahead and pitch what you want to, because then it'll automatically make sense, not just to you, to the customer as well.
Hello everyone, my name is Panisha Puri. Welcome back to our channel Xaphal, and today we have with us Aastha Chaudhary, who is into B2B sales and marketing professional with half a decade of strategic experience in integrated media campaigns. Hello Aastha, welcome to our channel Xaphal. How are you?
Hi, Panisha. I'm good. Great to see you here.
Great to meet you too. Before we move towards your journey, talk about your college days, tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, what you are doing right now.
Okay. So professionally, I would say that, I'm a sales and marketing professional, so I am kind of paid to talk. And I have the experience in this industry for about half a decade now, and I've been mostly in the business of selling integrated marketing campaigns, customer acquisition, technology, etc., to mainly the startups industry.
So, what is the most challenging thing?
I think the most challenging, at least in the initial few months, was the entire fact that I moved from a media conglomerate
Right.
to a telecom conglomerate, right? So it
Right.
was a complete industry change, and in the beginning, I really had to struggle. Though it's a sales role, and there are support teams and delivery teams and product teams to help you with things, but ultimately, when you are in sales, you actually need to know your product really well in depth, because then that is what gives you, the entire knowledge base to talk about it with the CXOs, the business leaders, and the decision makers who decide things at their end. And the depth you know things with, the better you're able to negotiate.
But personal growth is equally important.
Yeah, that's true. So that is I always knew I'm moving to a new industry and it is going to be challenging,
True.
though. I did my electronics engineering, but it is a very different ball game to actually work in a new industry
Right.
than having a theoretical, sort of knowledge about it. So I always knew I'm getting into something, really new, but I think that's how you come out of your comfort zones, and that's how your brain cells evolve. At my earlier organization, I would get leads and then curate integrated marketing campaigns for those brands given the brief to me. But this one, I made a deliberate decision because then I wanted to, really acquire those skills of going out in the market, fetching those leads, and then doing those sales closure conversations with customers, acquiring some negotiation and strategy skills. So it was a deliberate, attempt to move towards that side of the table. So I think it's worked out pretty well.
What are the key skills required in your field?
As an account manager, I feel that, let's start with what are the KPIs. The KPIs for an account manager are basically trying to retain the customers that you already have and bringing in new business, right? I think something that's really important is communication to start with, because you really need to have that confidence, to be in a room with the CXO and a VP. And so there are a lot of stakeholders, especially if you are an account manager for such a wide portfolio company. You're interacting with, product, engineering, growth, IT, admin, everybody across. So it just cannot be, one certain specific domain that you're going to talk about. So I think communication in a lot of contexts is what I would say is pretty important. What comes next would be a lot of leadership skills. because what you are ultimately doing is
True.
going back to your company and then managing internal stakeholders, internal support teams, delivery teams, so to say. You're basically leading them to deliver something out for your customer, right? Of course, negotiation is something that is inseparable from sales.
So, apart from skills, I would like to know about your graduation and the days you started that you would like to be in a marketing, and what was your journey, like how you started and how you get to know that you won't like to be in a marketing or sales profession, or it happened accidentally.
I think it's okay if in the very beginning you do not know, right, what do you want to do in life, because nobody is born with that clarity. So I was somebody who was always interested in extracurriculars, and I would get those all-rounder certificates in school, etc., because I love to try a lot of new things. So that's how, I used to explore my talents in school. So that's how school happened. After
You
that,
was a curious
um,
person.
yeah. So I was driven by curiosity, and challenges really used to drive me that let's see if I can try my hand at this as well. College for me was not really
Right.
engineering. It happened to become these little parts and parcels that came along with it.
Right.
So I was a very excited person in the morning to get up and actually reach college and just start, with uh, dance classes. And we had this entire wall which we used to fill up every
Oh,
week with huge charts, made of poetry, self-written stories, and things like that. So I think by the fourth year I had realized that maybe electronics is something that may not drive me as a person in a 9 to 5 job, and I might not be that excited to take that up. So I think I thought it was okay to, take some time out and decide what I really wanted to do.
true.
One thing that was good on my side was I knew that, okay, my interests, or at least some capabilities, lied in, marketing events and organizing events, getting people to your, core platforms and things like that. So I took time off. I explored the available options. I came across that MBA could be one of them, and there was a lot of boom in the market at that point of time.
After
So
doing engineering for 3 years, you switched towards MBA, right?
4 years actually, yeah.
Okay, so you hadn't drop
So
out.
yeah, so I took a break to, be sure this time that I was actually on the right path, and I was,
Doing the right
going
thing
to
or not,
benefit from what I was wanting to do this time.
right?
So yeah, I took a break. While preparing for MBA, I also, wanted to make sure that the interests are where they are. So I did a couple of marketing internships with PNG. I did digital marketing courses alongside to get that basic knowledge and understand if it interests me really.
Right.
So yeah, I think all of that went well. I also carried that little interest in advertising all through. That was something I was pretty sure of,
Right.
because when the entire family used to gather around the television, I was not a person who would really, be interested. But especially during the breaks, I would run across from other rooms and just, stand and enjoy some of my favorite ads.
So
And
it shows your true passion towards advertisement.
no, actually, in the marketing world, I've seen a lot of people who would just sit and discuss ads and the old ones. And, some really great brands like HUL, Amul have created such great ads that even today people talk about. And, they've laid down the brand in such a great way that it's become the foundation for those products, I think.
Tell me something about your first job.
Sure. I think that was pretty interesting, to start your career in India's largest media conglomerate. So, the first job I got through my campus placement after my MBA. So, I actually used to accompany some of the sales professionals going out in the market and doing their customer meetings. Uh, that just opened up my, exposure to a great level, because I was almost
You
going out
started
with a
your first
different.
job with the TOI. right?
Yes, with the Times of India.
Right.
That's correct. So I did my 2 months sales stint there, prepared a sales strategy for the entire branch, depending on the conversations and the kind of learning I had in those 2 months, doing customer meetings. I remember we used to travel across Mumbai, north through south, do at least 3 to 4 meetings in a day.
You were always curious about learning, so that gives you chills about your
That's true.
first.
So, along with that, I think, I was also meeting so many new people on a per day basis. I would say I was meeting at least 7 to 8 new people. So, by the end of 2 months, you can actually see how many new people I would have met. So, that was a great exposure, right? And with each new person you meet, there's a different kind of learning you build. And at a long term level, you also develop this understanding of people.
Right.
That's very important in a sales job. So I think that gave me a very nice foundation to understanding what media industry was about, how are ads driven in the market, and learnings of that sort. Then I think I moved to a brand role wherein I was actually working for the city-centric, basically your Delhi Times, Mumbai Times, that part of the Times of India. And I was actually organizing events there. For example,
Right.
so Delhi Times has one of their very, established properties, which is called the Times Fresh Face.
It was more of a PR role for the company.
No, so the Times of India has certain, marketing campaigns for themselves, wherein they also partner with other brands to build visibility for them as well. But actually, what the objective is to increase readership for their own newspaper, so that, one of the engagements, for example, with college students is Times Fresh Face as a property, right? So every year, the Times team would go to certain colleges in a particular city, and it's pretty expansive across the country, and basically engage with them through talent hunt, right? So as simple as that. So it was again, pretty interesting learning, and uh, basically how do you build more readership through
Right.
improving the content, improving your engagements with the customers, and also enhancing your revenue at the same time. So
Okay.
that was a good learning experience. Then I moved for 2 months. I worked with the investment arm of BCCL, wherein Bennett Coleman is just, investing media into early age startups, and they are actually taking up equity in those startups, and, marketing those companies, helping them grow, and basically, growing their own revenue share along with it.
What was that moment that you realized that, okay, I have given my ears to this firm and I would like to switch?
I think there is a learning curve to everything that you do, right? And the initial few years, it's like you absorb a lot, and then eventually they say that, if you're taking half an hour to do a job in the initial 6 months, 3 years later, you'll just be taking 2 minutes or 3 minutes to finish that. So that's how, uh, because your brain has been so much automated in that entire process that it doesn't need thinking anymore, correct? So, which is a very wrong situation to be in. I
Right.
think at TY, in those 4 years, I had lived each and every model that existed of getting revenue in that particular role. I worked with partners, to execute concerts that are popular worldwide. For example, I built upon the Times of India legacy brand properties like
Great.
the Times of Best, for example. And I also worked with brands to create legacy properties for themselves also. These days, learning is so easily available. You have your massive open online courses, you so many new apps, where you could, uh, according to the genre, select the app, and there's so much of content availability, which is not a problem at all. I think what's become a problem is more of your attention spans and things like that towards learning than content, which used to be a major
Right.
problem in the
Right.
earlier days. So I think a large percentage should go towards your goals, but also what's something that should not, be sidelined is some skills that you acquire, just to discover if would go well or would you do well in that area or not, just to keep up with the trends. People learn about artificial intelligence, machine learning, things like that.
As a marketing professional, how do you initiate the conversation?
In the space of selling, first of all, what is more important than talking is listening, right? Every customer needs something customized, and
Right. True.
every idea needs to be different from the other. So it is very important to understand the context first of all, and then go ahead and pitch what you want to, because then it'll automatically make sense, not just to you, to the customer as well, because then you will be more clear in your head if you are solving a problem, if
Okay.
you are solutionizing or not at the end of the day. So I think understanding, first of all, is the most critical thing in starting a pitch or basically looking at closures as well. So
According to you, what is your mantra of success?
yeah. Okay, so I'll not give one, I'll give a mix of whatever I think drives me at least. So I think, first of all, be fearless is one thing that I really, propagate.
Right.
So, for example, people get bounded by the roles they are in,
Mm.
correct? And they want to define themselves as what the role defined initially in the JD for themselves. But I would say that it's a really wrong way to look at it. And you can contribute to any organization as much as you want to contribute,
True.
right? If you see a problem anywhere at all, you need to raise your voice and speak up.
True.
And that's how companies change, that's how they become better.
Right.
uh, and it's ultimately that is what brings you growth at the end of the day as well. So being fearless is one of them. And since this is for Xaphal, especially for the initial years of your life, I think be very exploratory.
Right.
The early you make the mistakes, the lesser they will cost you in long term.
Right.
So I think it is important to stay on the path, but then you can take a couple of detours here and there and explore and make mistakes, which is completely
True.
fine and actually important for your long-term learning.
True.
Another thing that we already discussed is to, keep learning and keep learning outside of work. That is
Right.
very critical. And that's what will make you more equipped to handle other challenges in life and newer challenges, maybe in workspace as well.
You had shared your life journey, you had shared your experiences that might be helpful for the students who are watching our show and would like to make their career in the same particular field, so they got an idea. And you also taught them that it's never too late to change your field. If you're not happy, if you're not satisfied, keep exploring and try to do your best, and it's important.
Thanks a lot, Panisha. It was lovely to be here. It was nostalgic for me, so to say, because you took me down my college days. So yeah, all the best to everybody who's watching, and stay on Zuffle, enjoy the platform, have fun.
Thank you.